You guys had another bragging right that I thought was very interesting, and it was not only is your investment low, but the average year one revenue was 1.8 million.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm just blown away by that.
Yeah, I know. At one point, somebody asked me, one of my buddies locally, he was like, "Hey, what exactly is it that you do for people?" And I just pulled up our sales report and I was like, "That's what we do." You
That's
know
what
what I
we
mean?
do.
And the numbers kind of speak for themselves.
All right, welcome back to the Pursuit of Profit. Today's episode is a perfect example of why some of the most successful businesses in America don't start with a flashy idea. They start with a simple problem, a disciplined operator, and the courage to say yes when opportunity shows up. My guest today is Zach Peyton, founder of Superior Fence and Rail. He's a West Point grad and former Army officer. Like many veterans, found himself at a crossroads after leaving the service. No grand entrepreneurial master plan, no background in construction, just a conversation with a friend that led him into the fencing business in Jacksonville, Florida. Fast forward to today, that decision became Superior Fence and Rail, now the first and largest fence installation franchise in the United States, with over 120 locations servicing over 300 markets, hundreds of employees, millions of feet of fence installed, and proprietary technology that tracks customers from the first contact all the way through to installation. This is a story about systems, leadership, operational discipline, and building scale in another overlooked industry in America. If you ever wondered how people actually break into boring, profitable businesses and turn them into national platforms, this episode's for you. All right, let's get into it. You have a very impressive background from West Point to a former veteran, right? Just being at different companies. Can you explain to the audience how you created and how do you ended up at Superior Fence and Rail?
Yeah, well, no, thank you for that. And I'm looking at myself in the video wearing this like really ugly sweater, and I'm just like I can't help but just like laughing. I'm like, you must be talking about somebody else.
I'm trying. I know. I'm trying to like not see the shirt.
See my jolly belt. Well, so the origin story of Superior Fence and Rail started before me, right? There was a guy by the name of Chris Johnson, who was a corporate attorney, absolutely hated being a small cog in a very large machine. Moved to Orlando, back home to Orlando, and ended up buying a small fence company. And it was sort of for him, it was sort of a placeholder of what he wanted to own until he figured out exactly what he wanted to be when he like grew up and what he wanted to own when he grew up. And then in the 2000s, he expanded through trademark and licensing agreements, right? So I think he opened, call it like 3 to 5 licensed locations. And when I came along, I was, I think, the fifth and final licensed location to open up just in 2009. And at that time, I got out of the army. I was looking for what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I had looked at a lot of different opportunities and kind of landed at General Electric and their rotational leadership program. And about 3 weeks after I got there, my buddy called me. He's like, "Hey, my brother and his partner are expanding their fence business into Jacksonville, Florida, and they need somebody to help them run it. Are you interested?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm interested. I'm working at GE. The GE finance had just fallen apart. The folks who've been working there their entire adult lives had seen their retirement go from 100 to 10, you know, and not that it was like the GE like recovered and I'm sure they're doing great these days, but it's just not a great place to be. And I was, like Chris was, 7 years before, I was a very small cog in just a ginormous machine. So I said, "Hey, yeah, I'll be there in a couple weeks, pack my stuff up, move to Jacksonville, Florida." And I ran this location. We started it from scratch. I ran this location for 3 years. And then I went to my partners and I said, "Hey guys, this has been fun, but I'm going to buy you out of the business. I want to just be the one who owns this business. I don't want partners." And so we came to an agreement. I bought them out. And then 2013, the economy picks up, really started to see like recovery. They started building in the sort of the ghost neighborhoods again. And things like really took off. And in 2016, Chris came back to me. He's like, "Hey, man, I've always wanted to expand this business through franchising, but the culture you built in Jacksonville, the systems that you put in place, the processes, the people, like everything about it, like is the missing ingredient. So what do you say? Let's franchise this business. And I had a couple of conditions on what like whether I would or not do it, and we kind of resolved those, and then we went ahead and did it, and we grew to probably 40 or 50 operating locations before we were acquired by Empower Brands in late 2021, and we have built I would say one of the top service franchises in the whole country. You know, we're easily the number one fence franchise. Most of our competitors just got started, you know,
That's right.
but we are probably I don't know, top 10
In your category, no doubt about it.
home
I mean,
improvement services, you know.
yeah. I mean, just for fencing alone, though, I would think that you're a trailblazer. There's not a lot of companies that were able to do what you've accomplished, which is to scale a fencing franchise throughout the country.
Well, that was the thing. Nobody had done it successfully. There had been people who tried, you know, 3 that I'm aware of that tried and failed. And then there was one, I believe, that started up like right after we did, but hasn't had anywhere near the success that we've had. So,
Right.
yeah, I think we sparked an industry of fence franchising.
That's right. What do you attribute that to? A lot have started, a lot have failed, a lot couldn't do it. What do you attribute it to?
I think the reason why we succeeded and the reason why we're going to stay in that pole position, right? The reason why our franchisees have grown so quickly and so effectively, right? Is number one, the businesses that we're modeling the franchise off of, the 2 company owned locations that we still like own today are really big businesses, right? Like a couple of
Yeah.
our competitors that have popped up in the franchise space either don't have a corporate location that they're modeling off of, or they have a very small corporate location, maybe million and a half in annual revenue, right? Like
Hmm.
that's what they're modeling off of. We're modeling off of, you know, a combined between the 2 locations, whatever the last FTD said, $23 million in annual revenue across 2 locations.
Wow.
You know, it's like, hey, I want you when I talk to people and I get them excited about working with Superior Fence and Rail, I'm like, hey, look, I don't want you to work out of your garage. I don't want this to be a side hustle for a while and then maybe one day you get big. No, no. I want you to build a business where you can define your participation, right? Like I want you one day to be like Jacksonville. And we're still Jacksonville is still the biggest franchise location in Superior Fence and Rail, not by much these days. There are definitely some locations in much bigger markets that are nipping at our heels, but we're still servicing a high, like multiple revenue versus population. So people see that and they're like, oh my God, like, you know, the population of Jacksonville is only like 1.6 million people for that metro area. And these guys are doing 14, $15 million in revenue. If I just like simply could like say like, oh man, what if I could do that, you know,
Right.
in my
Right.
area? Like I could have a 4 or 5, 15, 20, $30 million. I think some of our operators are going to have $30 million enterprises in just one metro area someday.
Wow.
It's just my belief of what the potential is, just based on my experience and what we've done here in Jacksonville. So I think having the company-owned locations and having sort of like the shining city on the hill really helps when people come into the system and they want a vision of what they want their business to look like someday. We have that for them, right? And on top of that, we have like everything is built for them to scale like that, right? Like the whole like the business process management tools that we use, like everything that we do is built so that they can, you know, handle 500 calls a day if they get to that point, you
That's
know?
right. Yeah.
So that's the part where it's like, okay, they've got a clear vision of what they want to become, you know, when they grow up. They have the systems that will scale with them, right? And then I think that our leadership and support team has really helped, like has really been hyper focused on franchisee happiness and success above all else. Right.
Right.
And I think those are the 3 biggest things that we've got going for us. And when you join Superior Fence and Rail, like that's what you get, right? You get an easy vision of what you want to be, right? What, like the type of business you want to own. You get great systems, great, like everything from marketing to just opening your business to ongoing support, supply chain. You get the best of everything. You open up day one and you can operate and buy like a $20 million a year fence company.
Empower is great. I'm sure you're pleased being part of that family of brands.
100%.
Yeah.
Like it has been a huge relief for me going from founder, business owner, the world just like rests right here, you know, and you don't realize how heavy that burden is that you're carrying around with you until it like gets lifted off and you're like, oh my gosh, now I can just focus on, the success of our franchisees. So that I think that more than anything else really like enabled our growth, right? Is that I stopped having to worry about the legal team, the finance team, all that stuff, like the services, but I still had all of those services available. And then I had other brands that I could bounce stuff off of. Like, if I built out really good rapport with the other brand presidents, if they're working on something, they're like, "Hey guys, just wanted to share this." It's like, "Oh, okay, great."
Are you still brand president? What role are you playing, or did you allow Empower to a point? And obviously working with you, how did that work out leadership wise?
No, I'm still a brand president.
Okay,
I have been doing that for 4 years and it's been great.
excellent. Most people don't get the full story when they start exploring franchising, so they make mistakes that cost them big. That's why my business partner Justin Guevara and I wrote Beyond the Brand, the entrepreneur's guide to fearless franchising. It is our proven 6-step process at Phrenosity to help you find the right franchise, avoid costly pitfalls, and build a business that truly fits your goals. Grab your copy of Beyond the Brand on Amazon or any major book retailer and start building your future fearlessly. Let's get into some of these services. I mean, is the money in your business all just fencing, or no, it's railings and gates and pool fencing? And like, where's the money in the business as a percentage of revenue? Like, what are your vital 3 revenue streams?
Well, residential B2C, right? Like
Yeah.
that's right now probably 85% of our business easily.
Okay.
That is the meat and potatoes. That is meeting with people, figuring out why they need a fence, what restrictions do they have, whether it be, the height of the fence or the location of the fence or homeowners associations, the color or the type, like all of those things. Like why do you need the fence? you know, what restrictions do you have in place? Okay, great. Well, now that we've filtered the why and the restrictions, well, here's all your available options that you can choose from, right? We
Mm-hmm.
have an extensive catalog. And then, okay, great. Here's your budget. Oh, you like that one, that one, and that one. Okay, well, here's your budget for each. Which one would you like to go with? When would you like to get on the calendar? That's sort of the long and the short of it. And then the crews come in, they do a great job installing the fence, and then we keep going. It's very transactional. We might see those folks again in, hopefully 15, 20 years, or maybe in 7 years when they move from that house to another house.
Is that by design, Zach? Meaning that's our model. We don't want commercial work. We focus residentially. Or no, we want to expand into the commercial market.
No, commercial is sort of like the logical next step in the
Okay.
evolution. And there's, it's not just like, oh, commercial. There's what we would call light commercial, right? That's working for businesses. And every like just drive around, every single business that you pass has a fence that's somewhere in the life cycle of needing replaced,
Right.
right? And we want to be top of mind for those folks when it's time to buy, right? And there's a lot of folks that manage multiple properties, so we want to work with those folks. We want to be their fence service provider too, and we can be both great for consumers, right, direct to consumer, and we can be a great B2B solution for businesses that need new fencing. Because our level of service, our project management capability, the efficiencies that we bring to the table through our supply chains and like better pricing, like that all translates very well on the commercial side as well. And then there's more complicated, heavy commercial where we're working for general contractors and doing larger scale projects. That's where we want to kind of like step up into that. And you have to have a certain level of competency doing light commercial and residential before you can step into those bigger contracts, because there's a
Right.
whole lot more risk doing a $150,000 project for a commercial contractor who's going to hold 10% till the project's done than there
Right.
is doing a $5,000 project for Mr. and Mrs. Jones. And, if something goes sideways there, maybe you slip, lose like $500 or whatever, but you're not going to like go out of business. And then there's access control, there's custom gates, there's railing, there's, believe it or not, there's a way to sell to other contractors. So there are a lot of legs of the stool. And that's the fun thing about bringing people to Jacksonville, right? And we've even brought in like our own fabrication capability in-house, right? So it's like really fun to bring people because you could talk about it kind of notionally. People are like,
Mhm.
I don't know, that sounds like a bunch of BS to me. Or you can, visit with us and we'll show you like, no, 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 no,
That's
no.
right.
This is actually like a thing. And I want there to be multiple people in the $20 million club.
Right. Right. Is the average in the FDD, did you hit the 3 million mark, or are we still hovering at like that 2.6, 2.8?
So here's my dirty little secret.
Okay.
I,
Love that. Love that.
I spend no time reading our FTD.
I do everything to create the metrics of the FDD.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. I couldn't tell you. I know that I think yes. I do think we're on the other side of 3 million now.
Wow. Good for you.
My goal is for that number to be 5 million, right?
Yeah.
That's my goal within the next 3 or 4 years, right? If we don't get to that, then we're going to fall short of our projections. If I've got a bunch of happy franchisees and our, we're doing 4, 4.5, or even if we just stay at 3, everybody's like super happy, doing great. Suppliers are happy. Our investors are happy. Our franchisees are happy. Like if our franchisees are happy and everybody else is happy too, then, what's wrong? The metrics are just off.
That's why we refer to you. Validation's great. And it's obvious because the culture's great. It trickles from the top, right down into the system. You call up. I mean, and you've got a rock star selling it. Pete Trexler.
Yeah.
Is he in your office or is he virtual?
No, Pete works up in Richmond. He's on our team, but he's really dotted line to us. He reports up through the franchise development team. But yeah, Pete's great.
He's excellent. Pete, he's excellent.
I mean, you talk about somebody who comes in, like embraces our culture and is like, okay, I get it. Like he has to buy into our culture so that the people that he, interviews and puts in front of me are a good fit culturally, and that would not be the case if he wasn't all in the way that he is. So
you guys had another bragging right that I thought was very interesting. And it was not only is your investment low, but the average year one revenue was 1.8 million.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just blown away by that.
Yeah, I know. At one point, somebody asked me, one of my buddies locally, he was like, hey, what exactly is it that you do for people? And I just pulled up our sales report and I was like, that's what we do.
That's what we do. Right.
Like, that's what we do. Like these guys are putting up these amazing numbers, just phenomenal. And just like really like blowing everybody's mind. I'm like, that's what we do. We enable success. We set the table, right? The franchisee has to show up and work their tail off, right?
Yeah.
They have to show up. They have to get it. They have to walk, talk, chew gum at the same time. They have to build a great team. They have to execute, but we have to set the table so that they can execute, right? And the good ones do. And the numbers kind of speak for themselves.
Yeah, that's awesome. Any plans to expand internationally?
We are actively working on getting registered in Canada.
Okay.
So I can make my, French fries and gravy joke. I don't know. Like Super Troopers is one of my favorite movies.
Okay.
So the part where they're like, oh, we're going to Canada, for some French fries and gravy. Like that's my shtick. And I don't.
Not maple syrup.
Not maple syrup. I
Right.
love my kids love maple syrup. I love maple syrup. I'm so excited about going to Canada because like all around the GTA, the Greater Toronto area, we are just kicking butt and taking names. And so we think that we've got a good value proposition for folks in Canada that want to do this. So we are actively trying to get that ball across the finish line so that, yes,
That's great.
Not only can we be the first successful US-based fence franchise, but we can also be the first successful international fence franchise, which I would love that.
First to the door wins, right? You're a first mover. You put up a barrier to entry to competition. It's so true.
That's right.
It's like, no, we could be second, third. There's a big difference when you're the iPhone and then you want to have Android or a Samsung, right?
That's
It's
right.
like first to market wins. Look at Hertz Rent-A-Car. Avis's tagline was, "We try harder," right? Because you weren't a first mover, so
That's
you
right.
got to try harder.
That's right.
I like your strategy. It's like, no, let's not rest. Let's build on what we have. It's like that book, Good to Great. You said Great to Greater. I love it. That's a better book title, Great to Greater. That's funny.
Yeah, no, and look, and we still have white space in the lower 48, right?
Yep.
We do. That is the reason why I'm wearing this ugly sweater today, is because we are going to have a virtual ugly sweater party with some broker partners this
Nice.
afternoon. We could talk about like, hey, I know we don't have a ton of white space, a lot of inventory to sell in the lower 48, but what we do have, like, here's our top 10 markets. Like, this is what we're doing. So we are still looking to expand. Like, hopefully we'll be in South Dakota in 2026. We're
That's
opening
great.
in Delaware in January. You know, there's some markets that we hadn't opened in just yet, like South Bend, Indiana, Delaware, South Dakota. Those will be opening in 2026.
You're a smart guy. You're a data guy. What's driving the demand for fencing? Is it housing? Is it buying more pets? Is it safety, security? People want to fence out what they need to fence in. What's driving the market? It's 10 billion in the US.
So, and I think that number is low, right?
Do you?
I think it's low. Yeah. Yeah. Cause if you kind of like do the math and like see like the size of business that we have in Jacksonville and Orlando, it would imply that we have like 40 or 50% of the market share, which I know is not true. There are
Interesting.
so many competitors in both markets, you know, big and small. So I think the number is actually much bigger than that.
That's what happens when you have a highly fragmented industry. They
Mhm.
can't aggregate the accurate data. There's no player,
And
right, to report.
some of those companies that aggregate the data too just say silly things. And I'm just like, no, that's not true at all.
Right.
So home building definitely drives fencing, right? New homes, like it's like the old sort of like cliche fence advertising. A house without a fence is like a picture without a frame, right? Anybody who's listening, take
Right.
that, use it. House without a fence is like a picture without a frame, especially in these new age communities that we have, right? Or like the types of communities that have been built, the subdivisions that have been built, where it's like, hey, I walk out into my back patio to let the dog out, and like there's Joe and
Hmm.
Dave, Ben, and Harry. Like you can just look out your back door and like everybody's around you. So you need a fence. So privacy, I think, is like the number one driver, right?
Okay.
Pets, kids, like privacy first, just so you can just be in your backyard and not like
Right.
look at six people, right? But then security, right? Like being able to like let your kids or your animals out and run around in the backyard, and like, okay, like my kids are allowed to play in the backyard, and I will just like maybe leave the back door open or not. And they like
Hmm.
I'm fairly confident they're going to be okay back there, right?
Right.
And then pools, and then just old fences. Like once you're in, like once you have a fence installed, it's eventually going to need to be replaced. Wouldn't it, regardless of what type of material it is, vinyl fences will last longer than wood fences. Some metal fences last longer than others. So at some point, the whole market's going to turn over. And then if you live in a coastal area, a hurricane's going to come in and blow over, especially the older fences, right? It'll come in
Right.
and just like blow over and like reset, like say 10% of the market just overnight. So there's a lot of things that drive demand. Home building, new movers, like that, those are the primary drivers, because somebody can move into a house that doesn't have a fence, but they have that security need for their pets or their kids. There's a lot of different things that drive it.
Those are some good drivers. Those are some solid drivers that explains why the average ticket's so high. I
Yep.
think your average ticket was almost 8,000, like 7,800 or something like that.
Yeah.
That's a nice ticket size.
Hmm. Yep.
Y-
Yep.
You could see how quickly these folks can hit a million when you're banging out jobs of that size. I mean, I'd rather do that than a $5 foot long.
That's right.
Like, I mean, come on, man.
That's right.
It's like death by 1,000 transactions, and those folks still don't make any money.
Right. Right.
It's
No, you don't have to do as much. There are areas of the country where the margins are thinner just because of competition or fence
Mhm.
type, or just it's really odd that the areas that are more competitive on price points than others.
Right. And the margins there in your business. How are you generating $1.8 million in year one is a huge number. I mean, people have got sick of me saying this, but I think less than 6% of companies in America will ever do 1 million in their lifetime. Like most businesses are just small businesses. America is just a ginormous market of small businesses that will never do 1 million a year in revenue. How are you doing 1.8 million? How are you getting your franchisees onboarded, trained, executing in the field, and driving that kind of volume?
You know, I think it's just a lot of things, right? The conditions that we've come into, right, like have really enabled a lot of that success where we come into a market in some places, in some areas, there's sophisticated competition, but not a whole lot of it, right? In other areas, there's just no sophisticated competition,
Right.
right? And so we can come in and I think it drives our marketing team a little bit crazy, but we attack the bottom of the funnel like a junkyard dog.
Explain that in more granular detail.
Well, people spend a lot of money on branding and they're like, oh, you got to really like attack the top of the funnel and spend money. And like, as people are like out there and they're not even sure they need a fence yet, you gotta market to those people and then market to the people that are okay thinking about maybe doing a fence in the next year or so. And then as you
Mhm.
work your way down, there's people who are like, I need a fence company near me, right?
Right.
And that's where we really attack,
Okay.
like we want to show up extremely well at that point in time,
Yeah.
right? And so that I think has really focused our franchisees like at that point of attack, right? And look, you can't show up well when people are searching unless you're doing a good job, right?
Hmm.
So if I tell our franchisees like before you get all fancy with marketing and want to like spend a lot of money, like first do a great job,
Hmm.
right? Because doing good work in and of itself is sort of like the backbone of your marketing,
That's
you
right.
know? If you suck at this, you could spend 10, 15% of your revenue on marketing and you'll probably have a hard time acquiring customers.
Right.
But if you're really, really good, right? If you just focus first on doing a really great job and delivering, a raving fan level of customer service, then okay, that's where we start. Then we're gonna attack the bottom of the funnel like a
Yep.
junkyard dog, right? And we're gonna just dominate that first page of results on Google. Now, as we've grown bigger, we realize like we reach a point of diminishing return at the bottom of the funnel, and then we're gonna start working our way back up, and then
Interesting.
it'll help us be more efficient along the way. But I think that's been a really effective strategy. And again, like when I did this, I had to pull the business apart and put it back together again and retool processes and figure out like, who's am I going to be my provider for this? And like what company should I use for this? And how should we approach this process? And then we built the software that modeled everything that we were doing. And it's like, oh, okay, great. Well, now when a franchisee comes on board now, they have a platform that manages their leads, that manages their estimates, manages their contracts, open jobs, warranty issues from the minute a customer submits a form
Hmm.
until they call us to say, oh, hey, I'm having a small issue with my gate. Can you come out and fix it? Like everything in between, there is a great software solution in place so that they
Right.
can scale and not have to worry about taking the business apart and putting it back together. And I think that's the biggest benefit that these folks get because I did that at 1 million in revenue, 3 million in revenue, 5 million, 10 million in revenue. Like when we hit all of these revenue milestones, I would occasionally be like, oh, it's not working any of this. And we just
Right.
take it all apart, put it back together again. Or we
Right.
would retool like one specific process that had a pretty dramatic impact, tears, gnashing of the teeth, like all that. But then we were like, hey, but we got to do this. So they
Right
don't
on.
have to do any of that. They can just come in and they focus, like sell, install fence. It's just sort of like me being a part of Empower Brands. All I'm focused on, like laser focused, is on franchisee success. I don't have to read the FDD.
That's right. The KPIs that go in it. Exactly. Because that document needs to be saleable and you're making it very saleable with the kind of numbers you're putting on the board.
Interesting note. I want to brag about something real quick.
Please.
Our first 40 or 50 locations,
Yeah.
we sold without an item 19.
Wow.
We did
That's
not
impressive.
we did not have an item 19. People just, the validation went real well.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You didn't have it. Right. That's what I was going to say. You cannot do that, Zach. If you have no item 19 and I call your system and your system's like, I feel like we might break even in 18 months from now, and I've been in business for 8 months already, it's like dial tone.
I had a candidate call me back after he had done some validation. He's like, all right, dude, just be honest with me. How much do you pay your franchisees to take these validation calls? Because I couldn't get anybody to say a negative word about the system or about you or about anything. And I was like,
That's
well, dude,
awesome.
let me look, man. Like that's then we're doing a good job. You know?
I love that. That's great. Are you still doing something? I thought that you guys paid for or handled like SEO or something for the first year that they're in business to drive leads. What was the program?
Yeah, it's something that we've done for a long time. We'll handle the first year of the management fees. Right?
Management of it. Okay, got it.
Because when you come into, owning a business and you see that line item, you're like, "How do I really need that?" And I think it would be a huge mistake for any of our franchisees to say, like, "I don't need that,"
Right.
right? Because they don't know what they don't know at that point. And so we've never allowed anybody to opt out of that. We cover it through the National Ad Fund, right?
Mhm.
And so that we can say, okay, everybody who comes into the system, like for the first year, they don't have to even worry about paying for it. It's just going to be done for them. So, but yeah, no, that's worked really well for us over the years. So again, so the
I like that
franchisees
a
don't
lot.
have to worry about it. You know?
Yeah, love it. I think it's super smart. And I think not enough brands do that. And you're right. The franchisee will start to cherry pick what they like and what they don't like about launching their brand. It's like, no, this is how you want to do $1.8 million in year one. You want to get to do you want to be just an average operator doing 3 million, which is an incredible number? Like, follow the model.
Right.
It's amazing how many brands just leave all that to chance. It's like, look, we disclosed to them they needed to spend 10 grand for their grand opening. We disclosed to them that in the FDD, I know, but no one held them accountable to do it. Your system's failing.
Right. Now, look, I mean, I have access to our franchisees' financials, like really easy access because we structured it that way. And I don't have easy access because I want to be big brother, right? Or I'm like a compliance officer, like, I have easy access. So when I'm talking to a franchisee, I can pull up their financials and we can talk about the business from the financials. Because for me, that's important. You get to the size, when you get to this size, you have to manage the business from the financials.
That's
right? You can't just like shoot from the hip. You can try, but you're gonna miss because you're just shooting from the hip. Like if we're managing from the financials, we can take a good shot, and if we have good financials, right? So I've talked to franchisors, they're like, oh man, I would love to have that. I'm like, what do you mean?
Implement it. Exactly. Implement it. Make it part of you want to join. This is what you're going to need to do. I want to be able to, exactly like you said, I want to be able to pick up the phone and be like, Zach, listen, something's not right with your estimating. How do you know that? We just got on the phone because I'm looking at your numbers. Your margin is like 10 points off average. You should be within these curbs. You're clearly not estimating. Well, it's very expensive and I'm trying, right? That's why your average ticket is 6,200 instead of 7,800 and your margin's 15% instead of 30%. And it's like, sometimes there's nothing more deceptive than the obvious, but franchisees don't know what they don't know. They don't believe in their own price. They don't know how to grow a business. They don't know how to estimate properly, right? And then there's you coming in. So I love what you're building in terms of like that type of structure because franchisees need that. And this is why a lot of times you see disparity in systems. It's like you have the franchisor killing it, but how come no one else is killing it, right? Where in your system, it's like, yes, we're killing it. Our franchisees are nipping at our heels. Yeah. That's a healthy system with a tone set at the top. I agree with you, man. I love it. I'm hearing a lot of digital. What about the offline marketing? Like, do you still believe in yard signs? Do you still do the fence plaques?
No. Okay. I like, before we go into digital, like the company has to be a marketing machine, right? So yes, all of that is just sort of assumed, right?
Okay.
Yard signs and the fence business is this weird industry where you can put your placard on it. Like imagine like somebody came in and installed your gutters and put their placard on it. And then the guy who like paints the house puts his placard on it. And like, The guy who
Right.
does the roof, like puts his placard on it.
Right.
The fence industry for some reason has evolved where you can advertise for the fence company on your fence. So we
Right.
do that. We do, we have the vehicles. Like the majority of our sales reps out there running around in company vehicles, wearing branded apparel, install crews wearing branded apparel. Like all of sort of like the grassroots stuff is kind of assumed so that your business is a marketing machine.
Right. Those are the basics. Right.
Funny thing, I didn't actually hire anybody to support us like as an employee, a W-2 employee. I've never actually hired a W-2 employee to work in marketing. The marketing support team that came with Empower was really the first time that experience I've ever had with like working with a marketing team. So my philosophy with all of our franchisees was like, you are your own chief marketing officer. You got to learn it. You got to be good at it. We're going to bring the right partners to the table for you. But hey, you need to learn this stuff. You need to own it just like every other aspect of your business. So
Interesting. Zach, is this a one and done type of business where you're always chasing that next job? Is there any built-in recurrence or maintenance, or how does it, like, what's the life cycle of a fence?
there's a few markets where staining fences is a thing, and they're like folks that are trying to make that more of a thing. I can tell you in markets where it's not, it's a tough sell, to get somebody. And we tried to get people to stain their fences and kind of like build up their wood fences, right? The paint your wood fence. And
Right.
unless you're in a market where that's very common, it's very difficult to get everybody to start wanting to do that. And then it's like, congratulations, you developed the market. Now everybody, all the station wagon bandits who do painting work will start doing, now you're competing with all
That's
those
right.
guys. You know what I mean?
That's right.
My
Yeah.
buddy
No
owns
thanks.
a painting company locally, and that's what he calls his like sort of his chuck in a truck is the station wagon bandit.
Okay.
But no, like the best opportunity for something like that is to work with general contractors, property managers, sort of institutions that manage multiple properties like schools and stuff like that, churches, you know what I mean? So that,
Right.
like for my church, we've done a ton of work for them over the years because they wanted to replace this set of fencing and this railing, and they wanted to have installed. And then we did this big fence project, and we're doing another railing project for them right now. So stuff like that can happen, but most of our, like all the residential stuff is transactional, you know. But
Okay.
if you view it as like, okay, well, I want to tap into like that person's network, and then that person's going to keep referring me over and over and over again, you know, that's in that way, it's relational, you know.
Okay. Got it. I was taken back by this, looking at the space. Is this a requirement day one, 3,000 square feet of warehouse space
Oh, yeah.
with grade level access and a half an acre
Yeah,
outside storage?
those are the targets for the locations. I mean, you could pull up the map level of all the Superior Fence and Rail locations. It's like I'm sitting on just under an acre and a half. We've got
Okay.
two other buildings in Jacksonville. I think in Jacksonville we've got just under 30. We got 30,000 under roof on about
Okay.
3 acres. But yeah, no, this is not a work out of your garage. You get a brick and mortar location. One of the other reasons why people have to get the 1.8 million is because they have to cover their operating costs. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Like this is a business where it's built to scale. And oh, by the way, you better scale. You know what I mean? Because your minimum monthly operating costs are going to be significant.
Right.
Um,
What's the investment? I mean, it's not a huge investment to get involved in this.
Whatever the FDD says, I think it's around $250,000. There's a range,
You're the
right?
best. You're the
But
best. I love it. It's 133 to 275.
yeah, okay, there you go.
Very low investment for a
Right.
brand banging out the numbers.
Look, especially if you take a loan out on that, you know what I mean? Which I like, some people have taken a loan out, right? A lot of folks take a loan out to
Wow.
get it going. And then, when you really like contemplate like, okay, well, so you really only had to take like $25,000 out of your pocket or $50,000 if you got a big loan, you know what I mean? And then to be able to build something, and then a lot of folks are paying those loans off early. Those are the ones that stick out in my head. I'm like, oh, you paid off all your startup debt. Like, oh, that's amazing. You're in year
Right.
3. Now you're playing with house money. That's great, and they've gotten paid along the way. Like it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see. Yeah, no, it's a big investment, but all things considered, I think it's very reasonable.
I agree with you. I mean, average gross revenue kissing 3 million, average gross profit margin over 1 million, average ticket of almost 8,000,
Mhm.
a ton of runway, a lot of room to grow. Commercial is wide open.
Yep.
It's literally non-existent in your revenue numbers. Huge opportunity. It's a lot of upside to the brand.
Mhm.
I like it. Let's wrap up on the staffing model to do these kind of numbers. If I did let's just use 1 million, just an easy number, 1 million.
Mhm.
What does my staffing model look like to achieve 1 million in revenue?
You're gonna need, you're gonna need an office person, right? What I would call like an inside operations / inside sales and marketing person, somebody who can answer the phones,
Hmm.
set appointments with customers, and then deal with the jobs that you have open, right? Like help with the administrative tasks. You need somebody to work in the shop, like get orders ready for the crews, make sure everything's ready to go, receive orders in from vendors because things come to our shops. We double check everything's correct, and then it goes to the customer. Nothing goes directly to the job site. And then probably a sales rep, right?
Hmm.
And then an installation crew, right?
Okay. All
So
W-2, no 1099s, no one's outsourced?
no, but a lot of people start with 1099 crews,
Okay.
because look, it's a lot to understand the industry. I started with 1099 crews,
Okay.
that like a long time ago, I had one really good one. And I asked him, I was like, hey, do you want to keep expanding? Do you want to grow? He's like, no. I was like, all
Yeah.
right, that's fine. I was just asking. So I couldn't never scale with 1099. So I just, I had the luxury. I had a really good office team, really good sales team, really good shop team. So I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go out and I'm going to install fence for a couple of years and figure out how to make this work. And I did. People would call me. They're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm installing. What do you want? They're like, wow, what are you doing? I'm like, dude, what do
Right.
you want? Like, I'm
Right.
gonna get back to work.
Okay. Got it. It's great. Yeah. It's a low labor model. I like it. Yeah. It's pretty basic. I love how involved you are in this brand. Super passionate after all these years, man. You have the energy as if you just started this thing.
Well, I had a cup of coffee this morning. I don't drink a lot of coffee, so maybe that'll account for it. But no,
Maybe
I
it's the
am.
sweater.
It is the sweater. It's definitely the sweater. No, I am very passionate about the success of our franchisees, the success of our team. It is what fuels me, what makes me go when I'm at work.
Definitely. Well, I hear a party in the background, and I know you've got a bunch going on. You spent an hour with me. I'm grateful for it. I appreciate you taking the time out to spend it with me. Thanks for coming on the show, Zach. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. I really
All right,
appreciate it.
bud. Take care. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss out on more great content. And if you're considering investing in a franchise, whether it's the brand you featured today or another opportunity, we're here to help. Visit us at Franocity.com. That's FRANOCITY.com. We love to help you take that next step towards business ownership.